Why Palpatine made Darth Vader weaker. The dark truth. Darth Vader, the Dark Lord of the Sith, the Emperor's enforcer, the most feared warrior in the galaxy. His power was legendary, his presence unstoppable. But what if I told you that Darth Vader was actually weaker than he was meant to be? That the moment Anakin Skywalker became Vader, Palpatine ensured he would never reach his full potential. This is the dark truth of how Emperor Palpatine deliberately made Darth Vader weaker, and why. The fall of Anakin Skywalker. Anakin Skywalker was once one of the most powerful Jedi in history. He was the chosen one, destined to bring balance to the Force. His raw potential exceeded even Yoda and Palpatine, with the ability to become the greatest Force user who had ever lived. But potential is dangerous, especially to a Sith Lord like Palpatine. The moment Anakin fell to the dark side, he was no longer a person. He was a tool, a weapon, a servant. And like any tool, Palpatine made sure to control him. The first step? Making sure that Vader was never stronger than his master. The suit that weakened him. After his defeat on Mustafar, Anakin was left broken, his limbs severed, his body burned, barely clinging to life. Palpatine could have rebuilt him with the best technology in the galaxy, but he chose not to. Instead, Vader was placed in a bulky, restrictive life support suit, one that limited his speed and agility, making him slower in combat, weighed him down, forcing him to change his entire fighting style, left him vulnerable to Force lightning, ensuring Palpatine always had a way to control him. The suit was outdated even by Imperial standards, filled with ancient, painful cybernetics that constantly reminded Vader of his suffering. This wasn't an enhancement. This was a prison, a broken connection to the Force. Before Mustafar, Anakin's Force potential was limitless. He was one of the most gifted Jedi ever seen, rivaling even Grandmaster Yoda. But after his injuries, something changed. The loss of his limbs and the trauma of his burned body weakened his connection to the Force. In Star Wars lore, a being's connection to the Force is tied to their physical and spiritual state. The more damaged Vader became, the harder it was for him to channel the full depth of his power. Could Palpatine have helped him recover? Yes. But he never did, because a fully restored Darth Vader might have become too powerful to control. The lease and manipulation Palpatine didn't just weaken Vader's body, he also broke his mind. He lied to him about Padme, making him believe she died by his hand, severing his last connection to the light. He isolated him from Sith teachings, never giving him the full knowledge of the dark side. He fed him constant pain and anger, keeping him in a state of rage, but never letting him find true strength. Unlike past Sith Lords who trained apprentices to eventually replace them, Palpatine never intended for Vader to become his successor. He kept him obedient, broken, and trapped, never truly allowing him to rise beyond the role of enforcer. No true apprenticeship. Every Sith Lord follows the rule of two. A master trains an apprentice, and eventually, the apprentice must surpass the master. But with Vader, this never happened. Instead of allowing Vader to train a true Sith apprentice, Palpatine surrounded him with the weak Inquisitors, former Jedi turned into half-trained Sith hunters. They were never meant to challenge Vader. They were meant to keep him busy, to ensure that he never trained anyone strong enough to overthrow Palpatine. And when the time came for a new apprentice, Palpatine didn't turn to Vader. He turned to Luke Skywalker, because by then, Vader had served his purpose. Could Vader have been stronger? If Vader had never been injured, he likely would have been the most powerful Sith Lord of all time. Even George Lucas confirmed that, at full potential, Anakin Skywalker would have been twice as strong as Palpatine. But Palpatine knew this, and that's why he made sure that Anakin never got that chance. By keeping Vader trapped in his weakened body, limiting his knowledge and feeding him lies, Palpatine ensured that he would never be surpassed. But in the end, that was Palpatine's greatest mistake. Because even after years of pain, suffering, and control, Vader still found the strength to break free. He turned against his master. He fulfilled the prophecy. And in his final act, he proved that Palpatine's control was never absolute. The dark lesson of the Sith. Palpatine's strategy worked for decades. He took the most powerful Jedi of his time and turned him into a weapon under his control. But in the end, the Sith always fall to their own arrogance. Vader was weak because Palpatine made him that way. But even a weakened Vader was still strong enough to destroy the Sith. And that is the irony of Darth Vader's story. Palpatine spent years making sure that Vader would never overthrow him. But in the end, he did exactly that.